Ah, yes. Hello, everyone. If it's a couple minutes past noon Eastern on a Wednesday, that means we have some technical issues, but it is still time for the High Noon Hemp Show. Of course, you can find us in many places on Facebook, the Temptations Beach Facebook page, the Jedi Hemp YouTube channel, and at Temptations on Twitter. The podcast, of course, Podbean, Google Play, iHeartRadio, and Spotify is where you can find it. I am Stoner Jesus. He is Beach, and he is high above the Temptations in Sharonville, Ohio, at the Hemp Quarters. Beach, how are things this week in the world of Temptations?
Crazy, I suppose. Crazy, I suppose. We're
Indeed.
getting settled in after that brilliant election that we had last week. That's for sure. I do want to remind everyone that the FDA has not evaluated the show for safety or efficacy. It is true, I am Beach and I am high above the Sharonville location in the Planet Everywhere studios for this week's show, the High Noon Hemp
Indeed.
Show. Got a pretty good one. All kinds of stuff going on in the hemp world, that's for sure. Before we go any further, let's all read the I Hemp Revolution Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the hemp fields of America and to the soil in which it is planted. One seed under the sun with responsibility, sustainability, and thrivability for all. All right,
Indeed.
all right. Um, so yes, we had the big election. Cannabis is now uh, legal in the state of Ohio in all forms, medical, recreational, whatever, blah blah blah. Um, and everybody's like, "Hey, you gonna get involved?" Whatever. And I was like, "Yeah, I'd like to. We'll see, though. The state's gonna write the laws. I'm already seeing that they're already trying to figure out how to overturn it or change things that are in this law that we voted by 57% to, I mean, it was, in my opinion, what I would call a landslide. And the government here in Ohio is already talking about how they're going to try to alter this thing or whatever. And I knew they would make it. I just, and I so I told everyone that asked me if I was going to get involved. I said, well, the state's going to write the law, so probably not. Um,
Yeah.
it's gonna work out well for probably the rich. I don't know because again, they're already trying to like say they can't do things. The one good thing that I know is because it passed, I am going to take advantage of the home grow and I'm going to grow hemp. Ironically, I might be the first person to take advantage of home grow laws and grow actual hemp. But I'm gonna try. I have some seeds. We'll see if they're still fertile. I don't know how well that's going to work out, but I do have some seeds that I know I want to use. Um, and so we'll see how it goes. But I believe in 30 days, actually, as far as I know, check into this in the state of Ohio. I think the law goes into effect in 30 days. Now they've got a certain amount of time where I think they can write the policies and the licenses, just like the medical thing here. Um, but the home grow part of it should go into effect in 30 days. It's a part of is clearly in the law that we passed. And if the law goes into effect in 30 days, then that part of the law, the home grow part of the law, um, uh, is is good. It's good. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, um, but Ohio made some very good decisions last week, and then of course all of a sudden I'm hearing on both of those that the state is trying to mess with it. Which again, I just don't. It's like the state of Ohio does not care about what its citizens really think. They tried to pass a law a month ago so that we had to get 60% of the vote. If the law in August would have passed, we would have had to get 60% or more, and so therefore the cannabis would not have passed, and issue one would not have passed.
No.
Again, it's just which again is the way I believe the law is in Florida, if I knew right, because I saw that they had an issue down there with the legalization bill, and it didn't pass because all of a sudden I saw you had to get 60% of the vote. I'm like, it was the first time I'd ever heard of it in politics, and somehow it's completely legal. You no longer in some states need the majority of the people to believe something should be true, you need extra majority, or I don't know what, but 60% instead of 50 or 50.1. Anyway, um, let's get on with the High Noon Hemp Show. Let's jump right into the product spotlight. Um, we have new flavored 13th floor, 100% legal Delta 9. Um, these are Delta 9 and CBD, which I think people really do like the Delta 9 and CBD mix, honestly. So, but we have a new flavor, cherry lemonade. So we still have the blue raz, um, but new flavor there. We also got resupplied up on the Versa CBG smokes. You see a little mention about CBG out there. It's not. It's got a popularity. It's not huge in the same sense that CBG is a lot like CBD, but I think it's more. I think it's less on the calming side. It's not that it doesn't calm, but maybe not quite as calm. So it's like a better daytime cannabinol to use to see. I think these, we always, if you're trying to quit tobacco, which again, I found one of my lists of addictions. Again, tobacco, number one. It is the most addictive substance on the planet. Nicotine. Okay. Um, I think that I think that's if you vape your nicotine, then switching to a non-vape nicotine disposable or whatever is a great idea. And I think that if you still smoke cigarettes and you want to quit, try what we call hempettes, hemp smokes. Got different flavors from original, which I just believe is pretty much unflavored. It'll probably taste like cannabis. Uh, and then cherry, menthol. And trying to remember what the blue pack is. I can't read it because I'm blind. Um,
Is sweet.
Sweet.
Yep,
Sweet. Blue is sweet. I like that. Blue is sweet. More on that in a little while.
that's right.
Um, and then the next one here is this is the selection of just CBD soap. Um, and we still all need soap. And CBD again, it would be absorbed when you're using it. This would be absorbed in your hands. If you have any joint issues in your hands, I feel like CBD soap is all I would use um, periodically throughout the day. The last one here, just discovered these, is some hemp seed meal for brewing. So if you are a home brewer, you brew your own beer. Um, the ingredients are in there. Just add them. I think it says to a 5-gallon brew,
Hmm.
and let it do its thing. And so, if you're a home brewer or you know a home brewer, maybe this would be kind of cool. And these are both in the Sharonville location. Um, and of course, if you don't know, cannabis and hops are in the same family, I believe. Not species. I used to know how that all broke down from phylum to species to this to that. But anyway, they are very closely related in the organic world, and so no one has ever really done a whole lot with that over the years. Interesting enough, like you don't see like I haven't seen like hops plants grafted onto cannabis plants, or I don't know. Again, they're both flowering, and they only live for so long anyway. Um, but I don't think you can like obviously you can't cross species. Could you imagine if we could, as many cannabis plants as we have, and there's a lot of hop species too. If you could crossbreed the two, geez, oh Pete's. Anyway, so hemp seed meal for brewing. So there you have it. Four from the store. Now the one from my door is right out of the old pantry, as I like to say, even though I don't really have a pantry. Um, but this is the once again sunflower hemp butter. This kind of replaces I get peanut butter every once in a while, but I um, try to stay away from it only because it's very high in sugar. If anything else, you got to kind of watch your peanut butter and sugar content, I suppose. This is very closely, um, you can still kind of taste the hemp, which, when you know the taste of hemp, it has a very distinct kind of nutty flavor to it. It's not like peanut butter nutty, it's just its own distinct. Honestly, I think if you put, you know, I could do a blind taste test of 5 foods and probably tell you which one had hemp in it if there was enough, just because, again, hemp has a very distinct taste to it. And so some say it's a little bit getting used to, but it's well worth it when it comes to how healthy it is. And so that's why I try to eat hemp as much as I can when I can. So there you have it on the High Noon Hemp Show, the product spotlight. 4 from the store, 1 from my door. Now you're saying blue. You're looking, seeing blue. I mentioned blue.
Indeed. So what you can see of beach is a lot of blue, and I can assure you, as you're going to find out in a second, the rest is much the same as well. And I
That's true.
did, week, by the way, as a little update, I did tweet the Guinness World Records about the hemp records, and there's been no response as of yet. If I
Crickets.
have to annoy them greatly, we'll have to find out. I mean, I will if I have to. I mean, really have nothing to lose. What are they going to say? We're not going to do it. I mean, that's already what they're doing. So
Right.
they can't
You know,
punish us further if I get on their nerves. So
let's poke those tweets. Did people do that? I don't know if that's even the thing.
you need poke on X. I just get the Guinness World
Pokes
Records on.
on X. Poke us on X. Oh,
They'll
shoot.
finally say, "Hey, we're tired of being poked. Okay, we'll see what's going on with this hemp collection. Just stop, please." That's my goal, my ultimate goal. So
Sounds
I'll
good.
keep you updated on the
Sounds like a
progress.
plan. It's a great plan.
Which, of course, brings us to the beachwear segment. And beach is very blue today. Of course, just have to ask one question to kickstart the greatest segment in internet history. When I say, "What are you wearing, beach?"
All right, if you're curious how I celebrate a close loss for my Kentucky Wildcats,
Yes.
this is how I do it. Um, Super proud of the way these young kids showed up last night at a unbelievably good Kansas team.
Yeah.
Just to get it in there because I feel like I have to. Their center is who beat us, and we did not have either one of our 7-footers. We still are not playing with a center. So I mean, I'm looking very forward to the Kentucky season, as I always do. I have been wearing a lot of this blue in the last week or so, since we actually so officially started the season over a week ago. But anyway, now you're going to know, what are you wearing, Beach, when you're really proud of your Kentucky Wildcats. Now you know. On top there is a classic Hempy's beanie. My jacket, of course, which you'll see anytime that Kentucky plays on Wednesdays throughout the winter. We don't play a lot. You're probably definitely going to be seeing this jacket as a hemp hoodlam, one of my all-time favorites, probably. The shirt underneath with the Hemptations University print printed right here at Planet Everywhere is a young maven. Underneath that is a Two Jupiters long sleeve. And Two Jupiters probably hasn't existed as a company, as far as I know, for at least 15 years. So that's a
Right.
nice old one. Um, Somehow I got paint on it, so I love to wear it underneath other stuff. But uh, on my pants there are my Orvis pants. That's the big company, Orvis. My belt is a Hempy's hat, Hempy's belt. In the pocket there, as always, you can see the Green Spring Technology pen. Now, I did want to mention, I have these on our website for sale, but I also went ahead and at a little cheaper price posted them on eBay, a couple of them on eBay. So we'll see how that goes. And then underneath it all, got some Hemptopia briefs. The socks, Kind Hemp. You can see with the water drop uh, black mark on the. If you look really close at them, You've got the kind. Those are the kind hemp socks. And then on my feet, some of my favorite hemp shoes probably made. If you've watched the show before, you know how much I love the Saucony Jazz Vegan, and that's what these are. These are, and there are, and I noticed that there are different Saucony Jazz lines, so you have to kind of be careful, and you can tell by looking at them almost, because these look so natural. It's hemp fiber on all of the uppers of the shoe for the most part. Part of the vegan part of uh, that, um, but super love my Saucony Jazz. If you look for the vegan line, I do believe if you find the vegan line, it should be made out of hemp. That I can guarantee. Not all Saucony Jazzes are hemp, but I believe all Saucony Jazz vegans are. So there you have it, folks. If you're wondering, how does Beach celebrate a close loss in a great game uh, by his Kentucky Wildcats? There you have it. Go Big Blue. Go Big Blue. All right, well, there's a new movie coming out. There's a new movie coming out that the trailer was filmed for 5 years ago. It's called
Whoops.
Into the Temptations. Let's check out that trailer.
Nice. Little shout out for the
I'm
show.
sorry. Into the CBD is what that one was called, not Into the Temptations. I think I made one the other. But yeah, I didn't even notice that when I went back and watched. But, yeah, but I must have probably made this right when we. I feel like right when we started, because I think it was dated
Yeah.
2018. Um, and and I don't know why I haven't done it. I'm just kind of lazy, I suppose. And maybe I'll make sequels. So I'm going to go back and edit these and make sequels updating the products, because our products have a lot of the products have come and gone, other than ours, the Temptations brand and some other stuff. And so uh, that's what I think I'll have to do, is make some sequel trailers, I should say, not sequels to the movies that haven't been made, but sequels to the trailers,
That's right.
which I really have a good time making and have quite a bit of. And so, and if you watch the show at all, you've seen quite a handful of them, and I have more that I don't believe we have shown. So fun stuff, fun stuff. All right, let's get on to the news, because man, there is some news in the hemp world. It seems like this week. Um, some fun news. If you are a guitar player, Martin Martin's new eco-friendly acoustic guitar. I thought about showing a picture of the guitar, but it's not about the guitar really. But it is an eco-friendly make of the guitar. It has like a whole sea. The whole head of the guitar is like a sea ocean picture. Um, Interesting enough, I think that Jimmy Buffett was working with them on the project before he passed. But anyway, why is this important? Because if you purchase one of these Martin eco-friendly, it's called the Ohm Biosphere. It comes with a hemp gig bag, which we may have on the shelves here in the store. A hemp
Right.
guitar case or gig bag, as they refer to it. They didn't have a picture of the hemp gig bag
No.
in the article, unfortunately, for me to show you. I suppose I probably should have gone to Martin's website because they probably have a picture of it there or wherever you can purchase this if it's available for purchase. It just got like finished. And I don't know if there's a whole line. I don't know how many of these they're making. Um, it was all kind of new, but if you are a guitarist or you collect guitars, which I have noticed a lot of guitarists do, and you're looking for an eco-friendly one, um, and this is an acoustic guitar. There is a company that is making um, amped guitars. Is that what you call those? Um, Not acoustic rock. They kind of, I think if I remember, I forget what kind of style they're patterned after, but I'll do a little bit of research on that and get to see what the world of, because they were doing hemp guitars and hemp speakers, hemp amps. This company out in Colorado, and I can't believe I can't remember the name because he's the original organizer of NOCO, which is the largest hemp event under the sun. So anyway, it's the Martin Ohm Biosphere guitar, acoustic guitar, and it comes with a hemp gig bag, just so you know. Um, so a company is investing. It's actually I believe a Chinese company, Japanese, Chinese, Chinese company. Q Power is opening a $10 million hemp food production plant in Louisburg. I don't know what they call it down there, North Carolina. And so it's a huge investment. It makes sense. I don't know if they looked into Kentucky or not, but it almost makes sense to do North Carolina because in North Carolina you have, Kentucky right above you. So I'm sure that I feel like, you know, start, yes, electric guitars made out of hemp composite. Um, I will check into it. I'll get you a company. Um, but yeah, fun stuff. Anyway, back to the Q Power opening food production plant. Yeah, this is going to be big, and this is, it's what we need because once again, one of these food production places large and like this is, I mean, that's huge. Um, then growing the grain gives the American farmer, at least over here in the Midwest, a much better reason to grow forward grain and an outlet knowing that the food companies can, have a place to go and have this taken care of for them. So, you know, excuse me, fiber processing and grain processing are the two things that need to grow without a doubt in this very new, again, we've been almost 10 years legal for industrial hemp, but it is still, the fiber and grain part of it are still on the new part because the CBD part is finally passed. So this is a big deal. Good for them. Now, I do believe, if I remember correctly, that there is the fiber processing plant that was also supposed to open or had opened in North Carolina as well. So apparently, and again, North Carolina is, I think other than the CBD stuff, I think they're really encouraging the fiber part of it because, again, they're a big part of the fiber industry as a whole. I believe a lot of people work in the fiber industry in the state of North Carolina to begin with, and this is a whole new fiber for them to, make jobs and make materials and do whatever, needs to be done with the fiber. So good on them, man. North Carolina, they're going to be the place to ship your hemp in the Midwest. If you're growing for fiber or grain, it looks like, that being said, there is a very large facility over in Indiana, and I don't want to leave them out. I know there was I talked about them on the show. Uh, who knows how long ago? It was probably a year ago that they opened that facility over in Indiana. And so these facilities are, popping up. I don't want to make you believe that North Carolina is, this might be the biggest one at this point. I don't know. I don't know. Um, but hemp being processed and manufactured in the United States has nothing but growing to do. Nothing but growing to do, and even farming for fiber and grain, as I'm sure I'll say again and again and again. Here's a picture of the hemp guy that is a true hemp. Doug Fine. I call him Doug Mighty Fine, but I just love this picture. Um, he's a true hempster. He's got a purple hemp shirt on. He's standing in his hemp fields. He has. I have his book that was written on hemp. I was quoted in one of his books on hemp. Um, and so Doug and I worked together. I was in Kentucky a long time ago. At we met, I should say, um, at a hemp event down in Kentucky. And again, he's he's true. He's true. He's a true hempster. He's one of us very rare, like true hempsters um, that does for hemp what others do for cannabis on the other end side. So uh, Doug Mighty Fine and his purple and green. I just love the purple and green. I love purple and green, so I'm a sucker for it. So I had to show his big old smiling face there with his hemp plants and whatnot. All right. Well, it looks like Kentucky is deciding to go backwards. They are passing or have passed some emergency state bill going after Delta 8 now. Look into this in the state and see what's going on. This is not the first attempt. Um, you know, Law enforcement got involved and then they got checked and they said, well, guess what? These products are not illegal, which I think brought it to the attention of the government in Kentucky. And so now they've passed some emergency bill, and I have not even seen really what this entitles, other than uh, it will it will now make two state agencies, the Department of Ag and the police or some law enforcement, regulate hemp farming or something, which will confuse things even more, which is just ridiculous. Um, it's going to add extra licensing fees. When again, I've always said Kentucky is like one of the smartest and one of the best. Like, I think it's a $35 application fee, and that's it. And so, again, we're in Ohio. It's $1,000 license fee plus all the other stuff. And so, Kentucky's, I thought, always been very smart about it. Now, I don't know if this the extra licensing fee is just going to be on. I don't know. Again, it's very, very backwards. Honestly, they're taking a step backwards. They should have just left it alone. They should have just left it alone, like most states are doing. And of course, we'll see now what happens. Is this um, emergency bill going to be challenged? I'm going to guess that it will in the long run. And so we'll see how legal it was, which is so weird because again, the governor just announced that they passed something to make medical legal. Now there's no program or policies for the medical for the most part, as far as I know, but I believe it's kind of like here when it first passed, where I think you can use it as a defense. So you got to get on board with your doctor. I don't know. I don't know what it is in Kentucky. Um, Stoner Jesus should know more than me on that, if anything. But I don't know that anybody really knows what's going on
That's
with.
basically is. Basically, if you bought it from somewhere that's legal, if you have the receipt and you have a recommendation, there's not really much they can do with you. But obviously, you can't grow any, you can't buy it anywhere, or anything like that. So
Right on.
it's about as
That's
limited
what
as
I thought.
yeah.
So that's kind of what I thought.
Mhm.
Um, so anyway, now they're going backwards with legal industrial hemp stuff, and so it's we'll see what happens. We'll follow it as we do in most states that do these make these actions. There will be more to come, I feel. So we'll see. Um, so there was an interesting article: organic cotton versus hemp, as to which one is actually better for the planet. I'll jump right to the end. Hemp won. That was pretty close. But what is interesting about these charts is okay. Now the chart on the left there, and you can barely see, is basically global fiber production. Um, which of course you will also see cotton won exponentially, and only zero point 0, or is it 0.3% of all fiber grown globally was hemp. And I think only 6% basically of all fiber grown was not cotton. Um, or, I'm sorry, fiber production, because they also include polyester in the one chart. And so, anyway, you can see a minuscule amount of hemp compared to everything else. Um, again, was one of the first fibers known to mankind, and somehow now, just because of how it's all worked out, it is only grown for less than a third of a 1% of all the fibers, and it's the strongest natural fiber on the planet. It's crazy. It's crazy. To me, it's just crazy. So if you go up to the blue green chart, and what I find very interesting about this, now this is an actual comparison of how much organic hemp, or I'm sorry, organic cotton was grown to how much hemp was grown. Um, and there was, you know, not much more organic cotton grown, but if you look at the acreage that it took to
Yeah.
grow that organic cotton compared to the acreage that it took to grow hemp, it's insane. I mean, again, it's unbelievable to me. That's the most startling thing about this.
Yeah.
Um, is the fact that it takes so much more space to get the biomass out of cotton, obviously, the fiber itself, than industrial hemp. Because again, industrial hemp goes straight up. And that's, can be grown very close together to get fiber production. And it's straight up. Whereas I do think cotton probably has to spread out to get the little tufts
Mhm.
to make it all. And again, it just blows me away the amount of. I mean, can you imagine how much we could minimize agricultural? Again, if it takes that much for cotton as well, just regular cotton. If we minimize that by growing hemp, grow other stuff, get rid of although the soil is destroyed wherever cotton is grown, um, we would actually have more agricultural field acreage on the planet. If I mean, even if it was a 50-50, I'm thinking in my head, if it was just 50% cotton, 50% hemp, you'd be taking away an exponentially large amount of acreage that no longer had to be used to grow cotton. Um, and we don't need it to grow the hemp, and so we actually have extra agricultural fields to grow, more important stuff like food product or hemp for grain, even though you get the fiber out of the grain if you really want. Anyway. But it's just, to me, that was another thing that was just really really crazy. They didn't have a chart comparing the water, but again, it's like hemp uses maybe a third of the amount of water um, being used. And they had the water broken down into green water, blue water, and gray water. And green water is the best water, natural water, rainwater, water in the soil, which hemp doesn't need any blue water or gray water, so to speak. And gray water is water um, used for another purpose and then reused one way or another. But hemp didn't need any blue water, whereas cotton still needed some blue water. As much as it still needed the rainwater to grow, it still needed water after um, to process that. So, um, yes, Chris, we should talk, man. I mean, how you doing? I hope you're doing well, brother. Um, but and then and so once again, one on water, wins on obviously land. Um, the last little chart on the bottom right here, if we scroll up on this, it's a kind of a tiny little chart, but this is the carbon footprint, which I think is funny because hemp does lose in total carbon emissions, I believe that they do. Um, I think it was funny because there was a 4.20 in there, of course, but then of course polyester's on there, and you can just see how high the carbon footprint is of synthetic fiber, even compared to hemp or organic cotton or cotton for that matter. But what I don't think that they really get into here is how much carbon hemp sequesters when it's growing. And so you can, um, it is more than trees. We know this. And so, and again, I don't know about cotton. Does cotton sequester hemp or carbon well? I would think we would know that if it did, only because there's so much cotton being grown that if cotton did sequester carbon and was carbon basically negative and or neutral like hemp fiber would be, hemp material, um, then they'd be bragging about it. But it's kind of interesting. And so even when it comes to, and I've always said, if you're going to use cotton, use organic cotton. If you're using regular cotton, then you are doing nothing but supporting the largest pollution of agricultural chemicals being placed into the planet out of any agricultural crop on the planet. And then you look at the water being used just to make a t-shirt, and it's insane. But anyway, um, but and so hemp, and again, it was still close when they got down to the comparisons. But I think again in all the main categories, I think the only thing that cotton really even won was the like softness or feel, again of the material itself, which is really the only thing cotton may still have going for it. But as we say, hemp wears in, not wears out. So anyway, industrial hemp, which once again we don't have. I mean, organic hemp would just crush everything, I suppose. But hemp is naturally organic because it doesn't require any herbicides or pesticides to be grown. When you're growing for the grain or the fiber, you don't need any herbicides or pesticides um, for the success of that plant out of the gate. And organic is a soil rating, um, as I've explained in the past. And so, and that's why there's very limited soil that is actually organic rated organic, and that's why there's a demand for organic hemp seeds, even um, because Canada is having a tough time keeping up with the organic hemp seed demand. And again, because organic soil is a whole different rating. You got to get tested, and you got to not use any chemicals. Period. So that's how that works out. But again, hemp is it doesn't require any of that anyway. So it's actually cleaning the soil. If there's anything bad in it, it's actually cleaning the soil as it's growing because it's a phytoremediator as it is. and so it pulls out the bad stuff from the soil and brings it into the plant. Um, okay, Wyoming is moving forward with their ban on Delta 8. So once again, we'll see how this goes in Wyoming. Another one I am sure to be challenged because this is just the government deciding all of a sudden, um, without any real reasoning, one way or another. And so we'll see what happens with that um, in Wyoming, yet another state. It's again what's so funny is they're all after Delta 8 now, and we're almost beyond it with the legal Delta 9 stuff, which I just think is just hilarious in the long run. It's just kind of funny how that works out. Check out this fun little hemp house being built in Revelstoke, Canada. One of the things I loved about this is one of it's a partnership building the house, but the gentleman, he is like, he called himself a natural born hempster, and I believe it because he had a hemp store up in the Vancouver area of Canada, like back in the 2000s. Um, and then him and his partner were sitting around, and she said she wanted to build a hemp house, and he said, "Let's do it." And so, basically, the entire outside, and this is really what I think they're going to call insulation use of hempcrete. But they built the entire frame. The floor is regular concrete. You can almost even tell by the coloring of it. Um, whereas again, then they built the frame, and then they uh, sprayed in the hempcrete in between the wood frame, and so you can't even really see the wood frame because they walled it in and then sprayed it in, filled it in, let it dry, and then they'll go from there. But it's a decent sized little dwelling, and it just shows how easy it is to work with. What I think is the most interesting thing that, and I this before, but I've never really commented on it, is if you don't color the hempcrete, then it's a totally different color than concrete. And again, that's because the gravel is gray and the sand I think is gray, whereas the hemp is a natural color, and so you get a natural colored crete. And of course, you can dye it. I've shown pictures of tinted um, crete, so you can color it if you want to, which I think would be like really cool. Even like a green tinted. I don't know if I assume you can leave this exposed. I don't know if you then have to. I don't know how that would work after that. But we're seeing a lot more hempcrete being used, and this entire basically framed part of the house has been insulated with the hempcrete. And in Canada, of course, in Canada, because they probably have again at this point because they grow for so much grain, and they've never had a an outlet for the grain stocks. And my understanding is at the end of the year, most of the big companies in Canada that have grown for grain just burn the hemp stalks. Um, and again, that's all fiber. That's all hurd, as we call it, the outside part of the stalk that's broken down and made into hempcrete. And again, that was just waste. And so I'm only hoping that with the hempcrete and animal bedding that these grain companies are finding an outlet at the end of the year. Say, hey, it was waste before. We were just burning it and maybe using it for fertilizer. I don't know. Or that's just how we disposed of the stalks every year. But let's put a better use to them one way or another. And so hopefully that's going on. And I think I think is once again as it keeps growing, it's got so much to grow that will be the case. And if that can hopefully bring the cost of the grain down, because at the end of the year they're selling these things to companies that can use them, even better. Even better. Um, so, Hibernia Oil Platform Company, okay, the company that owns the Hibernia Oil Platform, lost its lawsuit to fire an employee for using CBD. Now, this is up in St. John's, Newfoundland. I think that's how they. I don't know if that's how they pronounce it or not. It's funny because I watched two different cop shows that are based in St. John's. But apparently, they fired this person for using CBD, and he sued them, and he won. And so this is, I don't know how much it really matters in the grand scheme of things, but it is definitely a positive in the employment part of the fact that CBD is, and again, I don't know the laws in Newfoundland, but I'm pretty sure it's Newfoundland's part of Canada. I'm not positive on this. Could be its own thing. Um, but, I find it hard to believe that obviously CBD is not illegal there. So therefore, they had no right to fire the guy for using it, and that's how he won. So I do think that if you have had or have an issue somewhere where CBD is legal, um, it's cost you your job or gotten you arrested somehow, still you have nothing but positive places to go there. So interesting. And then speaking of that, here is what I hope is a future lawsuit. But Carnival Cruise Lines has banned and this person had like priority boarding because she took so many cruises. But they banned this frequent traveler for having CBD. And Carnival Cruise Lines believes that CBD is federally illegal. So not only do I think this person has a lawsuit against Carnival Cruise Lines, but Carnival Cruise Lines needs to get their lawyers learning something better because, again, I cannot imagine why or how many people travel with CBD and go on cruises with CBD if
Yeah.
they're staying within the United States and would think for 1 second. Because, again, they mentioned in this article, and I mean, it's like half reporting that CBD isn't legal in every state. Again, as far as I know, there is not one state in the United States that has made CBD illegal. They may have put some stupid laws on it, but I don't know of any state that's actually made CBD illegal, honestly. So it's 100% not federally legal. And so, once again, Carnival Cruise Lines has made a grave error in judgment with this one. And this, reminds me of the Disney World. Now, I don't think the lady from Disney World got banned, but she did get arrested, but then the charges were dropped for trying to bring CBD into Disney World. And this was 2 or 3 years ago. Okay, charges dropped. We never heard anything else. Okay, if those charges hadn't been dropped, I think we would have seen a lawsuit there. Not only would she have sued the police department, but she would have sued Disney for getting her arrested to begin with, which is, I think this person has a serious lawsuit, discrimination lawsuit against Carnival Cruise Lines because they do not know the laws and they're basing their policies on erroneous laws or erroneous information. And so this one's going to be interesting to follow if they pursue it in any way, which I feel like even if this person doesn't pursue it, the CBD industry may pursue it in their own fashion. So we'll see. We'll see. It's just crazy though. It's just ignorance. It's just ignorance. Um, Alaska's Department of Natural Resources getting sued for its changes in hemp products. And again, I did not actually see what Alaska has done in changing the hemp laws. In But apparently, once again, it's not fair to the hemp farmers or the hemp retailers in what they're doing. And just again, and I'm sure this is over Delta. I don't. I mean, again, I don't know why. I don't want to assume anything. I didn't see any more details in this other than this is what's, they're getting sued, and I'm sure it's a Delta 8 thing. So we'll see. We'll keep you posted when I see if I get more information on that once that suit goes through. That's usually I report on these suits, and then it's at least 3 to 6 months later before a judge has ruled on them one way or another. Um, but once again, in Florida, they're just so weird, in all honesty, because their medical programs, like, it's a big, it's everywhere, and it's easy to deal with, but their Department of Agriculture is getting sued over the 21 and over law for all hemp products. And so now they've made CBD 21 and older, which is 100% ridiculous. I mean, even to say 18 and over, to me, in my opinion, and everything I know about CBD, um, is ridiculous. I think that if a child or a high schooler needs CBD, they're not going to get any euphoric value out of it. Okay, so they're not going to get high. The zero high. Okay, the best it's going to do is help with their anxiety. Teen suicide rates are at an all-time high, from my understanding. Okay, um, well, there's no doubt in my mind that CBD would help with that, not hinder it or make things worse or hinder their schoolwork or their anything. There are no euphoric side effects from CBD. And so it just seems so silly. 21 is just stupid. 18 is still ridiculous. And once again, there should not be an age limit on CBD. I would not feel bad for 1 second, because I know that there is nothing bad that's going to happen if a young person comes in here and buys some tincture or some CBD gummies. Period. Period. Okay, it can only help make their lives better, um, in dealing with whatever issues. Maybe it's an athlete and it's pain, or it's anxiety, which a lot of young people have, and so it's just totally ridiculous. And again, I feel like this is now what this is going to show is, and hopefully this lawsuit will in fact. The CBD industries will win when it comes to this lawsuit, is I think that the state is going to have to prove that CBD is harmful in any way, before they can put these kind of age restrictions on people purchasing it. Again, how old do you have to be to buy aspirin? How old do you have to be to buy? You might have to be 18 to buy Dayquil. I don't know, because some of those, because again, they take those and make worse drugs out of them,
Yeah.
which I kind of understand. But if someone's buying one bottle at a time, I don't think it matters. I get it if someone walks up to the counter with 12 bottles of Dayquil or whatever. And I shouldn't say that name, because I don't know that that's one that's used. I just know that there are over the counter stuff that's used to make worse stuff.
I know Sudafed is a big thing, I think, for making meth, if I remember
Okay.
correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if it necessarily means it should have an age restriction, but maybe a quantity restriction. I mean, I get, if you come up with a big old bucket of this stuff, then, obviously you're not just trying to deal with your everyday issues. So I kind of understand. And again, that was the way with like baby food for a while, because Similac was being used in cocaine back in the 90s. And all of a sudden, you couldn't buy more than so many canisters of baby food at a time, because of that. Again, which is just crazy, but that's what they did. So, I feel like a limit makes sense. If they can put a limit on how much baby food you can buy at a time, then they can surely put a limit on how much of this other stuff um, you can buy at a time. And again, so this was going to be interesting. And I do think that, once again, I think that this suit is going to be won by the CBD industry. because there's no way that Florida is going to be able to actually prove that CBD is harmful in any way. So if you can't prove it's harmful in any way, then you surely shouldn't keep it out of the hands of anyone. So, all right. How about a pesto recipe? Hemp is, and again, what I should have looked at this recipe a little closer because I don't know. I think they use hemp seeds, and I don't know if they use hemp oil. Which, of course, you could use hemp oil if it has oil in it, um, one way or another. Because I think most of the pesto recipes I think I've seen have oil, hemp oil as well. Now I might be wrong on these things only because I have never made hemp pesto. But here is your recipe if you want to make it. Um, I was going to try to get to the recipe and look at it real quick, and of course I can't manage my phone the way I should. It should be easier to find pictures, and all of a sudden it's like, why isn't it right at the end of all my pictures? It should be right at the end, but it's not. So anyway, um, yeah, 1 tablespoon of hemp seed. Now it's got that 1/4 cup extra virgin olive oil. I think, and I would almost try, and again, it might be a different. You can add a little different taste to it, but I would almost imply that you could try using hemp oil for that 1/4 cup of oil and just see if you really want to go all hemp, because the rest of it's really kind of flavoring, and so maybe you can add a little extra flavoring in there, and then the yeast is extra if you want to do something. Um, if you want it to be cheesier, they say,
Okay.
then add the yeast. Um, so I don't know how that works, but apparently that's what it says. If you like a cheesier flavor, add the nutritional yeast. I suppose if you like a cheesier flavor, just add a little like Parmesan to it or something. Or I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I would. You could try the olive oil, but also I would also go ahead and try the hemp oil, which to me then really makes it a hemp pesto, so to speak. So get your screenshot there of that if you want to. And again, there are hundreds, probably thousands of hemp recipes on the internet. And so if you do like to cook and make your own stuff, just Google it. Just, hemp pesto recipe and see what comes up. And I guarantee you there will be some that are hemp oil based, which is kind of interesting. I didn't notice until I just thought about it what the oil was in this, because I did notice that it was hemp seeds, which gives it kind of that a little bit of texture to it. But I think you could definitely use hemp oil as well, and then season to liking, one way or another. And here is a recipe that again I may look into making myself, but this is a hemp burger recipe. The veggie burger, vegan burger, is very much growing um, in popularity. Now, once again, I don't know if this is really going to, this may be like a kind of consistency and feel. I don't know if it's really going to have that burger taste, which, I've always said if we really want meat eaters to eat vegetarian or vegan foods, they have to taste and feel exactly like the food we're trying to replace. And so, but I do like the idea of a hemp burger. This is chickpea based. So, that's, you see a lot of black bean based vegetarian burgers. Chickpea could be interesting. Of course, one other thing I love about this is it's 420 grams, a 420 gram can of chickpeas. That's just fun. Um, when you got a 1/4 cup of hemp seeds, it's a decent amount. And I think this recipe makes four 4 patties, depending on how big you make them or how you wanted to really do it. Once again, this has virgin olive oil in it, extra virgin olive oil, they call it. Um, I would almost, and again, you've got chickpea flour or hemp flour. They give you that option. So you can do hemp seeds, you can do hemp flour. I feel like I would almost go ahead and use hemp oil instead of that olive oil. Although I don't, because you're not really supposed to fry with hemp oil. So I don't know how that would work. I'm not sure if that would like all of a sudden your burger would go up in flames. Which again at high heat could be possible because this is why we don't fry with hemp oil, is because it has a very low ignition temperature, and so it's very explosive. Again, this is that's why it makes for a good fuel in vehicles. Is because all in all, hemp oil is very explosive. You know, but I don't think rubbing it into your skin with your lotion means you can catch on fire easily. Either way. But in a pinch, you could use our CBD oil, which is hemp oil based, as a fire starter if you really wanted to. And then so once again, you could go the triple there with the hemp seeds, the hemp flour, and hemp oil. Um, uh, and and again, it's kind of funny because they do say or vegetable oil, but they don't give you the option of hemp oil, which kind of surprises me that they wouldn't, and I don't know, maybe it just doesn't work as well. But I do feel like hemp oil would work just as well as kind of a liquid binding agent, which I think is all that virgin olive oil or vegetable oil is really doing, is just kind of adding some moisture to the mixture, one way or another. So there you have it, a little hemp pesto or maybe a hemp burger. See what you want to do there. Get your screenshot in. And once again, wouldn't surprise me if there aren't at least 10 or 20 different um, hemp burger recipes out there or ways to use hemp in a vegetarian burger or vegan burger, if you want to go that far. So, good stuff there. Good stuff there. We like our recipes because hemp food is good for you. Everyone should eat it, whether you're a vegetarian or a vegan or a meat eater. Doesn't matter. It's healthy. It's a superfood, as they call it, high protein, magnesium, vitamins, minerals, essential fatty acids, um, high in fiber if you eat the whole shell. It's just low cholesterol. It's heart healthy, as they say. So many reasons to add hemp foods. Look in your local grocery store. Just watch the shelves. There's probably a hemp flour on the shelves. There's hemp seeds on the shelves. I guarantee you that. There should be hemp oil, seed oil on the shelves somewhere in the grocery store. And so find it, buy it, use it. It's good and healthy for you, um, one way or another. All right, Nike. Nike is releasing two new dunks, a high and a low. And they're actually the one article nicknamed the high the hemp hoops, which I think is awesome, because they are using hemp material. It's not just the color. There is a Nike Hirachi out there that they are describing as hemp, but it's only because it's hemp in the color, not actual hemp material. Um, these releases both have hemp fiber that they're using in the uppers of the shoes. What I think is interesting, the low cut on the bottom is the gray material on the back that you can kind of see there. That's actually hemp, and so they're kind of dyeing it now too and changing it, getting, not only using it as a natural because you can see there's other natural hemp on that low cut, but mixing it up with the colors, which I think is something that they Nike needs to do for themselves, not necessarily for the market. But either way, I think that I did notice one of them is available on Nike's website for not a whole lot. Nike, they're still expensive, but they're at least available possibly. because in the past sometimes it's tough. So it's good to see Nike is producing a larger amount, I believe, of these, so they can hopefully get out into the stores, um, and be available to go purchase online to support that. The more hemp Nikes that sell, the more Nikes will look to hemp as a material, and again, they can just clean up their act, um, without and please the consumer. And kind of nobody knows. The less leather that they use, the better off I think the world is. And the more hemp that they use, as opposed to even cotton material, or a synthetic material, um, is just much better off. Because again, I mean, I doubt the soles are biodegradable, but any of that hemp on there, you can feel good, um, about just chucking in the old landfill when you're done with them or whatnot. So, uh, Nike releasing two new lines with hemp in them. Good one. It's actually one new line. It's the Dunk. Those are both Dunks, as they're called. Um, one's a high and one's a low cut. So check out these modular. It's called. Oh no, it's a company called Modular Biodesign. Okay, and this is what they're calling the Vank Cube, and this is kind of neat because all these pieces, even do believe that the wall decorations are actually made out of, and it's actually hemp and flax. Um, and so it's kind of interesting. But again, they're all the blocks are all the same size. Okay, and so you can stack them. And again, I'll have to go back and one from my door is I built a bunch of hemp, um, particle board, not composite. This is composite, so it's more like a plastic substitute than a wood substitute. But I built a bunch of boxes that were, somewhat the same dimensions, width wise, so that they could all be stacked in different ways and make different conglomerations, just like this company is doing. Now, I do believe this is in Europe. I'm pretty sure, so I don't know if they're going to ever be available in the United States. Um, but basically, you just buy as many blocks as you want, and then stack them and make shelves and whatever. They have a desk made out of them, all kinds of different things. Basically, that you can do anything you want with it, um, as far as putting them together in the long run. And so, I think that's a pretty neat use for hemp composite, one way or another. And hopefully it's, IKEA picks them up and you can buy them anywhere. I don't know. We'll see. I can see something like that being a perfect product for IKEA to sell, just because of how they do most of their stuff. Um, because you buy all the blocks and then you have all the accessories with the shelves in between. It looks like the pillow top for if you want to make it a chair, the wheels if you want it to be on wheels. All those things, are obviously add-on options, one way or another, if you wanted to do it that way, or you could possibly use your own. I have pillows that would fit perfectly on top of there if I wanted to use it as a chair, uh, one way or another. So I really like that. It's a great idea. Um, Again, the company is named Modular Biodesign, and I'm pretty sure once again that it's a European. I'm almost positive it's not an American company, but I'm not 100% on that. But I can check more into it later, see what else they might have out there. It's pretty great, pretty good use of hemp composite. That's for sure. I think all the plastic they're saving there. Um, so I did mention, I don't know how long, 3 or 6 months ago, probably, about the raids in Georgia that were going on 100% legal industrial hemp products. Well, the judge agreed with me, of course. And so uh, they the judge ruled that hemp-derived cannabinoids are not illegal in Georgia. Therefore, the raid on the stores was not legal. No, I don't know if the person was actually ever charged in these raids. And so um, there you have it, folks. Once again, when law enforcement acts before finding out what the laws really are, this is what's going to happen, and this is what's happened. This is kind of what happened in Kentucky, honestly. Um, and now, I wonder if Georgia's going to go back to the drawing board and try to change their, because I do believe they were talking at some point or another, of course, trying to change their Delta 8 or whatever laws. And so I'm sure this is basically what this was about. But once again, because I am sure Georgia's Controlled Substance Act patterns the federal Controlled Substance Act, just like Ohio's. Okay, hemp is no longer on there, so therefore hemp is not a controlled substance, whether it's Delta 8 derived from hemp or Delta 9 derived from hemp, not on the Controlled Substance Act, therefore not illegal. And that's where most of these challenges get won when the states or local governments try to do something like this, um, because they should know that, but they don't. This is just crazy. Um, well, full line of hemp twine spotted at Walmart. They got every size you may or may not need in the natural color. If you, I know we got a bunch of colors here in the smaller stuff, but there you have it. And again, no real surprise, but I do. It's kind of weird how I have this natural compulsion to go down every lane, every aisle of the store I'm in. Again, yeah. And eventually, like a Walmart, eventually I do turn around because I don't need to go into the clothing and whatnot. But somehow, some way, I usually end up going down all the food aisles and hardware. Maybe, I don't know, but there it was. It might be on the bottom shelf, but they're not afraid of hemp twine. Walmart, and of course they're not. All right. Well, I've talked about my Aaron Dobson art. I showed the one picture. And so I'm going to close with this is actually a Aaron Dobson original. Now you can see that it's backwards, and it's backwards on purpose because he actually sketched this on a piece of hemp paper, and this was our sign, and on that he painted on the door in on when we were on the sidewalk in Dayton, and so he used this basically as a stencil, um, so that he could paint it reversed on the
Hmm.
door. Um, he wanted to do it on the inside, so he taped this to the outside, painted the art on the inside of the door. Um, but again, Aaron is an unbelievable artist. This was just something. I mean, again, this is, it probably didn't take him very long to really even sketch this out. And then this was painted on the door when we were on the ground level in Oxford, Ohio, which is Temptations 2, TOO. That's why that's there. And that's why it's reversed one way or another. All right, there you have it. Not a whole lot of events going on. I will check into a medical marijuana meetup um, and see when that, if they're, what's going on in December maybe. Normally it's the first Tuesday of the month. Um, but um, I don't have a date for that yet or a day if that's going on. I will let you guys know. Other than that, again, not too much going on in the hemp world as far as events. Didn't have any questions, but my beach thoughts were once again well illustrated throughout the show as normal, and I don't have any more specific thoughts other than I would end the show the same way I started, which was congratulating the state of Ohio on its great decisions that it made in the most current elections, which do of one of them, the cannabis law, it does affect us. a little bit, but not really. Again, we're already, just for the record, selling legal Delta 9. The only form we can't have Delta 9 in is actual flower. But here's the deal: now that it is legal, guess what? You also now I can we can also legally sell cannabis accessories, pipes, and whatnot. It's legal in the state of Ohio, and so um, as long as it's legal to smoke, I hope it is. It is. It should be. Um, then uh, then it's legal to smoke it out of the products that we sell, which makes then now, I'm going to look into it and actually wait to see what's really going on with it. Um, but that makes those all legal cannabis products in the state of Ohio. You know, and right now, therefore, legal CBD flower, Delta 8 flower, which we sell. We don't sell them as tobacco pipes. They are not tobacco pipes. Um, and so we don't sell tobacco rolling papers. We sell cannabis rolling papers, so you can roll up your legal CBD. And now, what is legal, what should be legal in the state of Ohio, not until December. So, not until December do we really go maybe full blown with all of that, because it's 30 days after the law becomes effective. Now, that doesn't mean that the policies, licensing stores, and all that can necessarily sell yet, but it does mean we can legally possess cannabis, and you don't have to have a medical card,
Yep.
no matter where you got it from. Don't tell me you got it from out of state, because then you might be breaking federal laws, which you would be breaking federal laws when it comes to Delta 9 flower. If you cross the state lines, that's a federal law. Anyway, folks, I guess I did have some beach thoughts.
There you go.
Appreciate everybody being there, whether you watch live or you're watching later on YouTube, the Jedi Hemp channel. We do appreciate it. Remember, reduce, reuse, recycle. Make everything else out of hemp. Having temptations.
See you all next week.